You are listening to Roots and Rise with Kelsey and Madi.
Rooted in wisdom, rising together. Okay, so we are wearing our dark colors today for a reason.
Because
We're going to discuss
feminine rage. Okay.
If you don't know what we are talking about, you're probably not a woman in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s.
Yep. But hey, this could still be for you. You might learn a thing or two about where we're at and what we're learning as well.
For sure. So we're kind of breaking down. I feel like it's a topic that's not spoken out about a lot. And I think a big reason is because women are portrayed like a good, demure wife, a calm, rational woman, a soft-spoken woman with firm boundaries. Like that is a good woman. But a screaming basket case running with a golf club through the front yard, that is not a good woman.
And I'm not a good woman.
No, we don't want to be good. We don't want to be good. But I feel like there's like a sense of shame surrounded with having any type of rage as a woman. But we all have it. And I think it really comes along usually in your early 30s and it sticks around for a little while.
Yeah.
It can come sooner for sure. That's just my personal journey.
Yep, that's my journey too.
And so we're kind of talking, we definitely wanted to talk about it because we want to hit on things that people maybe don't feel as comfortable talking about out loud with others. So we'll do it for you.
Oh, I feel very comfortable talking about this, and in fact, have been waiting to discuss it. But I also want to say that I might not make a lot of sense when I'm talking about it. And for those of you who are in the similar season of life where you start to get tripped up on your words, which even emboldens the rage, it's like there are so many feelings and just what you're experiencing right now in your 30s. You could be a mother or not. I think that the transition, which we will discuss as to why I personally believe that this transition is very painful and a little bit like a new rebirth. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a death of old self, moving into the new. There's a lot of reasons why rage is, I think, huge in this part of our lives, but it feels insurmountable at times.
For sure.
You know?
It's a big burden to carry.
It is.
So we were trying to list how we wanted to talk about it. And then we're like, you know what? Let's just do this during the podcast.
Yeah.
So
let's like break it down.
Be a part of it with us. And the first thing that we want to address is, what is it? If you hear this and you're like, what are you talking about? What's female rage? What do you think, Kelsey? How would you best explain female rage?
There's like a much more clear definition that I think we found. I define it by this sort of awakening of a new self, which is you become aware of the things that oppressed you and pushed you down. You're becoming like, you take the rose-colored glasses off of your life and see the world for what it really is. It's a little, I just saw The Matrix for the very first time a couple of nights ago, and I was like, oh, it's like that. Mm-hmm. It's like you take the red pill and you're like, oh, this is what the world was the whole time. I thought that men were being nice to me because they were just nice. They're not being nice to me because they were being nice, because then I had 2 kids and then I was hugely pregnant and I was sweaty and not wearing makeup and exhausted looking, and I was not treated the same.
No.
The privileges I received was because I was needed as an object, not because there's a rage in that too, of just like, you're telling me that the world treats people this way because of what they can get from them, not because they're human. You can already hear the rage building up in me because I have 2 daughters, you have 4. So you're telling me that I have to raise my daughters in a world where that's commonplace. And my mom was the quintessential rage-filled woman. She was that woman that it enraged her that men were paid more than her and they were less competent. It enraged her that that society was built for men and not for women. It enraged her that the world was not built for me. And so I feel that in turn for her, it's generational too. That's my definition, I guess, that's where it comes from.
And I think different people and personalities and upbringings experience different rage because of their level of naivety.
Yep.
It's a blessing to sometimes.
Ignorance is bliss.
It is to go, that doesn't bother me. I don't care. I'm not offended by that. Cool.
I'm
But then we
jealous.
have other friends who, deeply feel all of the rage and the oppression, and that's okay too. But just knowing where it comes from and understanding each other is the first step in being a tighter community of women.
I have dear, dear, dear friends that do not feel this same way. And it is a blessing that they do not. And in fact, I envy them greatly. I think that this episode is very informative because they therefore can become more empathetic to those who are experiencing it.
Yes.
Those who are experiencing it, this episode is really to help you know that you're not alone in this and that you are in fact very much seen in this season. And that I hope and pray that we can be a place where you can come and feel,
yourself.
just be yourself, So
That's like watching the Barbie movie. Full body visceral reaction after that. Andrew and I got home and I was like, put the girls to bed. I have to write.
I have to write.
I think I love to write, but I hadn't written in like a year. And I just sat at the dining table and was just going at it, lit some candles and was like, I am feeling things I have not felt before. And then I would talk to some of my friends and they're like, I feel like I was just like a little too deep. And I was like, what? But it's true. They don't have that same sense of like they're not bothered by it, and that's okay. I'm not mad at them for that.
No,
Good
of
for you.
course
I'm glad that
not
you
mad at you,
that
but
you don't feel those deep rageful feelings.
I will tell you though that it is really relieving to know that I'm not surrounded in a total community of women that are like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not real. That would be really, really hard for me because it's become very real for me. And I think that movie, I've almost memorized that monologue by America Ferrera, which she should have won an Academy Award just for that, just for that monologue. But I think like when that was done, I was like, that's how it feels. That is how it feels. And I was like, and no wonder I'm so angry all the time when you feel like the weight of the world is sitting on your shoulders. And then you have to be skinny and pretty in the process of carrying that weight.
But then you're not supposed to care about being skinny and pretty.
Oh, you can't tell people that you know that you're skinny and pretty, God forbid.
You are.
Yeah, but know that like you have privilege if you're not, but like you're privileged if you have it, but then also like don't talk about it. But then also you need to be in the gym every day. It's what's healthy also, but don't be in the gym. Don't tell everybody you're in the gym because that's god awful. And also, what are you wearing that brand new outfit for? Like, don't you know that other people can't have it? But like also, why do you have holes in your outfit? Like, why are you still wearing the same thing that you've been wearing for 4 years in a row? Like it's a hamster wheel. That is genuinely, that's not even the tip of the iceberg. That's barely seeing the iceberg in the distance from a mile away. That's just sad. Makes me so angry. Anyway, that's the whole point of it.
That's the whole point of this.
Yes,
is
I know.
To just break it all down.
Yes.
So then that leads us to, where does this rage come from? We've kind of touched on societal rage is out there because as a woman, we're not equal yet.
Oh, I don't think we ever.
And we've been living in a man's world without even realizing it for a long time, that how much it was geared towards men. We had those rose-colored glasses on.
Well, a society built by men for men. What else is to be expected?
Yeah. I remember, so my husband, he is such an amazing girl dad because he's taken the time to deconstruct and explore things. And I remember him saying to him one time, it's just hard. It's hard to get rid of the male gaze and using your brain in that way. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, honey, growing up, I would read magazines every week that were like, how to get a guy to fall in love with you. What's a guy's favorite smell? Get your man to rub on your silky smooth legs with this razor. Literally everything was, the goal is to get a man. And I'm like, when you're young and you're programmed like that, I was like, yeah, I got a man. And then I got married and had kids, and I was like, what's wrong with my man?
So here's what's wrong with this?
Mine's broken.
I don't understand. You know what? That was all I dreamed of growing up, was to be, my mother was a single parent. She never married. I'm the product of an affair. And so I didn't have a male relationship in the house to kind of like project what that was going to look like for me. My mother also had a very strong opinion about men, not in a positive way. So honestly, it's a miracle that I am now 32, married to the love of my life, a Christian woman, that like none of that should have happened according to the way I was raised.
Right.
I also really love men. Like, I think that men are, in general, like there is such a gift to be able to be on this planet with both men and women. I think, and everyone in between, by the way, like not to, make this political, but I think that we are all human beings. So wherever you identify is like, that's to be celebrated. So this is for everyone. But I think that those who identify in that way, it's that it's beautiful to share the planet with them. That being said, there is this part that I can't relinquish, which is the deepest fears of women are all related to how men could harm them. And because they can, they're inevitably stronger and they are faster and they have the ability to harm us much quicker and easier than we can do that to them. And I think that it was an unfortunate incident in my childhood where that became very clear to me and was highly traumatic. And it's like that, I think is the part where maybe my rage stems from the most is at 6, when something terrible happens to you at the hands of a grown man, is just, that is easily where this could stem from. But a lot of healing has happened in that process to where I don't see men as the enemy. I see society trained a man to believe he could do what he wanted without repercussion. Mm-hmm. And where women are trained to attract the right man so that they can have protection and they can have a partner and that it makes sense for them in society. And I'm just looking at my daughters thinking, I don't know what to do here, because I'm trying to create a world for you where you are strong and independent and you can do what you want to do and live a life that you choose, that is not dictated by your partnership to someone else. But there's a lot of gray area there. I'm just not sure. I just don't know how to even approach that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even know if that was part of the question. I feel like I went on a little bit of a tangent.
Actually, that was really beautiful and hit home, I feel like, to a lot of people.
The rage is coming from, like, as far as generational stuff, it's like, it's not just my mom. It's not just what happened to me. It's not looking at my kids. It's like, there's something spiritual that if you go there, and not everybody has to, there are some people that are like, that's not for me. That's too deep. And that is super fair. There's probably also, if there are men listening to this episode that are like, wait a minute, we're not the enemy. Of course you're not. No. You're not the enemy. That's absolutely not the case. I think that this is just a take on how we've failed to evolve as a species. And we've failed to evolve to see each other as true equals and see how we can grow from there. And because I know that there's a world where equals exist, but I don't know how to curate that on a massive macro scale.
Right. It doesn't fit into the rest of society.
So then I have no control over it, and that leads to the rage.
The rage.
But that's a really psychoanalysis, like,
it's deep.
That's a deep,
but it's good
level.
It's good. And I also think too, generational wise, I think those habits and responses of rage can be passed down.
Sure.
I read, what's that book that I sent to you? Generational inheritance, emotional inheritance. It talks about passing down generational traumas and rage, and how things that could have happened to your great grandparents can weasel their way into your family if they've never been resolved and still be a part of you. And the way they break it down, it's not like woo woo. It's like, oh, I see what you mean. How that person treated that person, and then it caused this and that and that, and it just like keeps happening over and over again until you sit down and fix it. And I think a lot of women in our generation are cycle breakers. We have had it. We're done. We don't want to feel like this. We want to get to the root of it, and we want to fix it as best we can. Or at least just name it and address it and keep working on it.
So that kind of brings me to the question then, what would you suggest people do when they have it come up in them?
Yeah. I think that my personal story dealing with rage is I had we had our fourth daughter, and she was a bit of a surprise. And we had her close. All my kids are very close in age, but my last two are 19 months apart. And that was a lot. And I felt this sense of like, I can't be enough. I can't do enough.
Yeah.
No matter what I do, there's not enough of me for them, for my husband, for my friends, for my family, for myself. I can't keep a home. I don't work outside the home. Like, what is the point of me? And then everyone would start screaming at once. Well, all these thoughts were floating in my head, and it would just be like, ah, like a prisoner in my own body. Like, I wish that I could just take my little soul, pluck it out, and a robot version of me could do all the work, and then I'll come back when it's calmed down.
Yep.
And for me, that looked like yelling. Like, now everybody sit down. Okay, that's enough, blah, blah, blah. And I did not like that. I did not want to ever have a home that was like not happy yelling.
Yeah.
We have a very loud home, but it is joyful.
Yeah.
I noticed that it was not feeling joyful.
Yeah.
And my husband, who's normally, he's very sensitive with me. He's very good about that. He was like, have you thought about seeing our counselor? And I was like, why?
Oh, because when they suggest it, you're like, bah.
And he said it in such a good way that he goes, you just seem like you're not getting as much out of life as you should be. And I was like,
that's a nice way to put it.
Right? Like my defense mode was up, but I was like, I don't know how to fight with that. So I was like, okay, fine. And that way I also knew that if I told him, you need to go talk to Sonia, he could never tell me no, because I did it. When he said, you need to go talk to Sonia, I did it. So I was like, yeah, I'll go. I'll listen when you talk to me. So then I went, and she's like, yeah, you should have called me a while ago.
Oop.
So anyway, first step, reaching out. If it feels like it's not right, it's not.
Yep.
If you feel like you need help, you're overdue.
Absolutely.
If your life feels unmanageable, it is. But it's not supposed to be. Getting help.
I think you and I are the same belief that I don't think a single person on this planet is exempt from being in therapy. I don't think a single person on this planet is exempt from being in therapy.
Because if you haven't had bad stuff happen to you, you're out of touch and you need a therapist to tell you how the world really works.
I feel safe saying this because I'm not looking at people in the face doing this right now, but there are a lot of people that I'm like, they're like, I don't believe in therapy. And in fact, I'm never going to go ever for the rest of my life. I've never been and I'm never going. You should
go.
You need to. You have to. In fact, you need to go before anyone else does, because
if you're not self-aware enough to know that you need help always from someone who's smarter than you at solving problems and dealing with behaviors.
There is. So I'm reading in Proverbs, right? Proverbs. I'm reading in Proverbs right now. And it's talking about like what God hates, which I didn't know he hated anything, but apparently he hates a few things. He hates an arrogant heart. Mm-hmm. He hates like wickedness when you're trying to hurt somebody, killing somebody. He hates that. He hates adultery. He hates like people that are just mean spirited and like to do it for fun. Like it's a joy for them. There's a few things that he hates. He really hates arrogant heart. He says it like a million times. And I think it's because the pride being a 7 deadly sin. It like when we stop ourselves from recognizing that we need help.
When we think we're in control of it all.
We are not.
Gosh, just surrender.
Just do it.
Just do it. So then I talked to my counselor, okay? And we're working through stuff, some different traumas, whatever. And she's like, we're going to work with your doctor. And I want you just to try some medication, because I think that sometimes there's just parts of you. It doesn't matter how long you go to therapy. It doesn't matter. There's just parts ingrained in you that maybe need a little help.
Yeah.
I've got a little tidbits of OCD, not like as strong as yours, but enough to like give me intrusive thoughts and keep me up at night and keep me from getting things done I need to or relaxing. And so I started on Prozac. And let me tell you what, life changing.
Let's go.
There is no shame at all with how good I feel, how good I sleep. I feel like it took me from unhinged to like a normal emotional person.
Maybe I should consider this.
No, you stick with.
I'm on Kelbury, which shout out to Kelbury. It's brand new and people don't know about it, but it's for ADHD, OCD people.
Yes.
And it's, if you go too high on the dose though, it'll piss you off. Like it'll make you
More rageful.
it'll make you really, it'll make you full of rage. So I think that that's where I'm like trying to balance it, trying to figure out the best thing.
And I think medication is not for everybody.
No,
but it
not.
Also is for a lot of people. And I don't think that there's anything shameful about that.
Nope.
I mean, whatever makes us our best version is what we're after.
Yes. And thank God we live in a time where we have that.
Right?
I think that all the time. I think how grateful I am that we live in a time where there's doctors, there's therapists, there's people that could help us. And I am unbelievably like blown away thinking about women back in like 1928.
My best friend Brett and I, we used to play this game of like, what would you be like now back in like the 1500s?
Dead.
And she's like, well, I would be blind.
Yep.
And I would have teeth that went like this because braces. I'm like, actually, I would have died like 12 times already.
Mm-hmm. I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Most likely. Here's what I'll say though. Thank God our ancestors. I mean, there is a reason why rage is a thing, I think, ancestrally, generationally. And I think that there's like to quell it is not to usher it away or pretend it does not exist. Because like you're dealing with some stuff that it's not just you. It's not just you. Like it's potentially my great grandmother, Ada Maud, who was living in the Great Depression, living off of rotten potatoes. I cannot envision that
Her name
woman,
was Ada.
Ada Maud.
That was one of my top girl names.
Well, let's talk about the fierceness of Ada Maud Griswold, who was unbelievably unflinching and I think was able to survive the most hellish of conditions. And it's like, no wonder.
Yeah.
She was probably not perky.
No.
And just really just raring to go in the bedroom. Because like, she was starving probably.
How could she?
You know?
That reminds me of this when you said perky. Okay. I'm a really good wife.
You are.
I went to my second Grateful Dead concert with my husband.
Gosh, I thought you were going to say something else. Yes, you are a great wife. There's nothing wrong with the Grateful Dead. I just think concerts for me are hard.
4 hours long.
They're pretty hard. Concerts are hard in general.
There's nothing wrong with the band. Very talented, whatever. It's just not my type of music.
Sure.
So to stand there for 4 hours. Anyway, it was in the Sphere. And I have like this really true fear of heights. And Andrew's like, yeah, I got us low seats. They were not. And they only use plexiglass to like in front as a barrier.
I'm not even sure I know what this is.
The Sphere in Vegas is this huge circle stadium that's new, or what is it called? Like a concert venue. And it's huge and it's tall, but it's dome shaped and it looks like stuff's above you, in front of you, below you. And so you're like straight up and down in your seat and there's plexiglass barriers so you can't actually see them. So it looks like you could just go bloop, tumble down. So I'm like, no. We get out there and I'm like, honey, I'm about to have a panic attack. This was before I was on Prozac, I think. Was it? Maybe no. Actually, it might have been so bad that it was actually still making me nervous. So I go out to the lobby. I'm like, I just got to sit out in the lobby for a while. No reception. And so I'm like, maybe Andrew will see that I'm pretty miserable and be like, yeah, just walk back. He's like, no, you can't walk back by yourself. Here, I'll sneak you onto the floor. So we sneak onto the floor, which is way worse because there's like people on a different planet like laying on the floor of this concert venue, seeing things that you only see when you're taking trips of the mind. And there's just like,
Unite.
It's like laying on the floor down there, laying. And this man comes up to me because I'm like standing there, in my cute little white jumpsuit with the biggest scowl on. And he looks at me and goes, you sure would look prettier if you smiled. Cue the female rage. It's like, how dare you? Yes. You think I care about looking pretty right now? Like, no, I want to look pissed. Don't tell me how to be.
You know what all I think about is like things I would say in that moment. And it's like, doesn't matter because the best thing is just to walk away. But you want to be like, are you loved in your life?
I think he was feeling very loved in that moment.
Do you have joy? And if so, do you want it removed? Like, I don't know. I just feel like I have like
He really thought he was doing me a favor. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have a lot more fun here if you just smile. I was like,
have you ever been super pissed and then tried to smile?
no,
it feels like not correct. Actually, I have done that before. I've done that in a setting where somebody was like, you should smile more. And I was like, and it was like that. So I don't know. Maybe I feel better. It doesn't feel right.
Next time I'm angry at Andrew and he's going to be like, what are you doing? Trying to smile through it like my ancestors did.
No wonder their smiles were kind of wonky. They were a little bit like when you know how people didn't smile in pictures. They were like, I'm not going to fake this. Are you joking?
They looked miserable.
This crap is, this crap sucks.
They were more honest than we were. Now we're on Instagram like, I love my life.
Okay.
I just got done throwing oranges at my husband.
Are you doing that too? I didn't throw oranges at Hunter. Keller and Sailor are throwing oranges because it's orange season, and I'm really a fan of that. But we'll digress. What is the next thing? Because
we're getting off. Okay, boundaries is part of dealing with it. But we have a whole episode coming on that.
I think, we're going to talk about boundaries. I think that how to fix, I love an actionable step. We love an actionable step in this space. So I'm going to say a few things that I've done to attack my feminine rage, and I will suggest has helped a lot. First of all, seeking help. Therapists, psychiatrists, they're there for a reason. We are blessed to be living in a time when that is a thing and it's available to us. If it's not available to you, please reach out to us. We are going to help you find free resources, because there are free resources in every single state.
Yes.
So we can help you with this. But the next thing I would say is, when it comes to rage, especially as a female, the only other thing you can do is connect with other women that are going through the same thing. It alleviates the pressure, so it's not just you carrying the weight. That's why tribes are so, and I talk about this, like, I've learned a lot about the Chickasaw Nation through Madi and through Hunter, who are both Chickasaw. And Hunter works for their documentary series and is building documentaries for them right now, and learning about the building of tribes and how the matriarchy back a long time ago within the Chickasaw Nation was so impactful in creating just resilience in individuals during very difficult times. Tribes are unbelievable in their ability to not waver in that. So I would say that building up your, so to speak, tribe, your female sort of warrior group.
Which you can, if you didn't listen to the previous Galentine's podcast, that can give you some direction with finding your tribe.
I think so. Absolutely. And then the next thing is, I will say this, and I really hope it comes out correctly, assessing some of the pieces in your life that are igniting rage and really trying to identify the why. Why is this igniting rage? For example, my husband, who is an angel among us, truly, like, I have no notes for this man. But for some reason, because he's a safe space for me, my rage comes out most at him. And it's also because he's the only person that's the closest to me, yet he does not understand anything of what I'm experiencing, what I'm going through as a mom, what I'm going through as a woman. And I think that holding him accountable has been really challenging, because it is not easy for me to communicate what it is I'm struggling with. And that's where therapy, psychiatrists, and finding your warrior, your women warriors is going to be essential. Is if you're in a relationship that's healthy and you feel misunderstood, and your husband or your partner really wants to work at it with you, you got to have some input before you output. And so that's the first thing is really trying to identify where in my marriage am I experiencing deep rage. I experience a lot of rage with my kids, but that's not on them, that's on me. Like, it upsets me that Keller tries to strangle Sailor. Like, that upsets me. That, like, brings me to a animalistic place. Like, I don't know how to ignite, like how to stop that in its tracks. But if you push stuff down all day long and then your husband walks in and you are about to attack him, that's also not on him either. That's not his fault that he's about to receive the brunt of your rage. So I think that the work leading up to finding the pockets that are most upsetting. Last night, Hunter and I had a conversation about just, I think I won't go into total detail of, our intimate life together as a married couple yet. There might be a time. He'll be on this podcast eventually and we can talk about it then. But there is a frustration and a deep rage that I am not who I was when we were first married. Like I don't have the same abilities. I don't have the same drive. I don't have the same openness because there's a death that happens when you give birth. There's a death that happens to you, to your old self. And I'm angry that person isn't available for me anymore. And then my husband's kind of like, I don't know what happened. And I'm like, I don't know what happened either. And then you want to be like, well, get off my back because you're not I'm the one that had to carry the kids and give birth. And I'm the one that had to breastfeed. And it can very easily turn into a contest of who suffered more. Mm-hmm. And he always is the person that's going to come and say, I want to understand. I want to be in it with you. I want to carry the burden. And I'm lucky for that. I'm very blessed to have that. So I don't take that for granted. But I think that what I've had to do is really look at the facts and the numbers, make medication a part of the journey, truly eliminate things that are causing the rage to be even more so. If I don't have time for myself, I'm going to resent everything in my path. You have to almost be violent in the way that you carve out space for yourself to feel your feelings and be alone or be with people that matter to you and read books, journal, not doom scroll on your phone or Netflix and chill. Like you've got to really pour into yourself. But if you're in a marriage that is not healthy, that could very much be contributing to this rage.
5,000%.
What does one do in that situation?
Gosh. Well, so that if you are in a marriage that is not healthy and is contributing to the rage, therapy is your first stop. If you have constant battles in your marriage and you're doing the work and you're not seeing any type of, light at the end of the tunnel, talk to a therapist by yourself. You don't have to get your partner there. Start by yourself because they're going to be able to speak more clearly into you what's going on, help you see sides of things that maybe you're not wrong. Maybe this isn't a you issue. And then they're going to help you with boundaries on how to deal with it. That's a very personal journey and everyone's is very different. Sometimes your partner's willing to work through those and sometimes your partner's not. And some things have to die for new things to grow. That's probably a whole nother conversation. But
Mel Robbins literally, was like reading, I will never let this book go. This book is like my whole personality right now. But like The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, the chapters toward the end talk about how your positive influence can truly influence change in other people, especially close people in your life. It takes a long time for that positive influence to work. And I was listening to this thinking, well, if I'm full of rage, where is my positivity? I mean, Hunter last night was like, it's tough. Like you're in a real, it's not an easy spot where you're at right now. He was like, I wouldn't call it positive poly, I was like, cool. Love that.
Thank you for acknowledging what I already knew.
Mm-hmm. But I think that being said, it's like, I think that the efforts that you make will pay dividends. I think that when you put positivity in just small increments out there, like sending your partner a good morning text when they're at work, just letting them know that you're thinking of them. Like that small effort, regardless of your rage, regardless of how unheard you're feeling, could very well come back. And I think, again, we talked about this in a Galentine's episode of like what we put out. Serving others selflessly, even, and then when you've got an empty cup, where do you go?
To God.
Yeah, there you are. You got an empty cup and you got nothing else to fill it with. There's only one answer.
Yourself. Mm-hmm.
You got to go back to God. That's the only way. Who else?
That's the end all be all do all. The Alpha and the Omega.
Who else is going to fill your cup?
So to kind of like wrap this up in a way that if someone was speaking to me, it would really hit home, is no one's coming to save you but you. Okay, so you got to take some accountability. This rage is there. If you do nothing, it will not get better. Stupidity is like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting change. So something has to change in order for things to change, right? Take the steps. It's easier than it sounds if you just write it out. Find a therapist. Book a therapy date. Talk to a friend out loud about it. Get up, carve an extra 30 minutes in the morning. Oh, I hate getting up early. Okay, but do you love having rage? Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's wrong.
Pick your hard.
Pick your hard. Get up.
It's going to be hard.
Take care of yourself. Even today, Kelsey was wanting to talk to me this morning, and I was like, hey, what are you doing today? She's like, well, I need to do this. And I said, well, should we just cancel everything and have a girls' day so that you feel like stuff is poured into you? She's like, yeah, actually. And of course, there's that instant like mom-wife guilt of like, I'm not allowed to have a day off to just like take care of myself.
I've had that moment wash over me many times throughout the day where I'm like, well, I could have done, and I should, and when am I going to do that? And it's like, you get one life.
Yeah.
You get one. And if you don't allow yourself to enjoy it, there might be people that really get upset. They might be upset with you. And hey, Mel Robbins, what do you think I'm about to say? Love you, Mel. I love her. I can't wait. I want to meet her so bad because I just want to be like, what a fierce lady. And like she decoded it where it's like, if people are going to be mad at you for taking care of you, let them, because you get to decide how you do this life and you get the choice. You get the control back of, it's like, I don't want to be full of rage and resentful and burnt out and angry and crusty. I want to be fresh like a little peach.
Yes.
Not like a dried out raisin.
And able to spread joy. Mm-hmm. Not in order to better just myself and like be selfish and spread hate. I want to do what it takes to make the world a better place. And it starts within the four walls of my home.
Amen. I love it. Well, to all those out there with feminine rage, just know we love you. We see you. You are not alone. And to those who don't understand, that's okay too. We've got a million other topics to talk about that we know are going to eventually pertain to you.
Hit home. And if you have any topics on your mind, please DM us, Roots and Rise Podcast on Instagram, and we will touch on those.
Love you.
Love ya.